welcome back to Flight Zone. I cannot believe this is episode 12. This semester has brought so much competition in the athletic world, and we're so happy to share it all with you. On the agenda is the NFL draft, baseball, basketball, and as always, Braves breakdown. So let's take flight. As you can see, it's Jersey night because of the NFL draft. So what do you guys think of the draft? Who do you think is going to get placed with who? What are your thoughts?
I'm very excited. I actually was just posting on my private story, Happy Draft Day. Me and Trev, we were posting Happy Draft Day. Not too worried about today. The Jags traded their first round pick this year so that they could move up to second last year to pick up Travis Hunter, which I think was a great acquire for them. I know Gladstone is trying to acquire a first round pick. I don't think it's going to be reasonable. I don't know if it's the most possible thing. It's not impossible, but I don't see it necessarily happening. So then I will be personally waiting until the second round, where I think they need to go for defense first and then eventually replace Travis Etienne. And so I'm very excited to see who they get. I haven't really kept up with college football, but I've kind of recognized some names or seeing them post about some people. I know the Jags just picked up in the trade a defensive lineman from the Falcons. So I'm excited. What about you?
Well, I'm actually in pretty much the exact same boat as Gwen. The Packers traded their first-round pick last year for Micah Parsons, who I would say is a little more worth it than Travis Hunter. But I guess he's young. We'll see how he pans out. So
he hasn't had time yet. Give him 3 more years and then we'll
yeah, we'll see. So yeah, the Packers obviously don't have a first-round pick. Regardless, whenever I believe we pick 52nd in the second round, and our biggest weakness by far is cornerback. We have currently, I think we have just 3 or 4 on our roster. We have Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, and Javon Bullard, who, they're decent, but we lack depth, and we lack, really the lockdown corner, which is why I am hoping, if I was the general manager, I would go with Malik Muhammad, a cornerback out of Texas. Very good, very versatile. We're good with our safeties, and there's been talk about maybe converting potentially Evan Williams into a cornerback, which I'm not big on. I think he's great in the safety role. So besides that, obviously I think we're good for the most on our offense, maybe a lineman or 2. But I think for the most part, cornerback is where we got to pick up. There's been talk of edge rush because Micah's going to be out the first 4 games, they believe. But yeah, I'm not as excited this year. Also, overall, I just don't think the draft has as many I don't know how to describe
Contenders?
it. Yeah, just as many
it's not as strong of a
it's
class,
not, especially
I guess,
quarterbacks wise, which is
don't get me started on some of these quarterbacks.
Obviously you got Mendoza and Ty Simpson, but then besides that, there's just not a ton of guys that I feel are really going to pan out in the NFL. And who even knows about those 2? They're not necessarily the strongest prospects in my opinion. So it's not necessarily the most interesting draft, but it's always a fun time to see who goes where. What about you, Pierce?
I mean, you guys sound like you guys need somebody like Cooper DeJean.
The Packers,
star.
we passed up on him, and I was very disappointed about that.
But I don't know. Are we going to go into the trade?
Yeah.
So the Eagles, unfortunately, they're probably going to be trading A.J. Brown. It's been really discussed, and it's most likely going to happen. And, that's going to really benefit the Patriots, which is never a good thing. We don't want to see them be winning anymore. But I mean, I would want to keep him, but the Eagles need to stick with an offensive coordinator, and if we can't have that, we keep breaking up with them. It's been one after the other. Jalen Hurts, he can't settle down with a coordinator, and so he's just getting all these different offense.
You sound like you're talking about The Bachelor. I'm loving it.
Yeah. No, he just we can't settle down with a coordinator and keep the same playbook and be successful with that playbook. So, I mean, I see the reason why A.J. Brown would want to leave because, growing up as a kid, you want to be a star, you want to make those big plays, and it just doesn't seem like it's really working out with the Birds.
He's also kind of notoriously a bit of a diva in the locker room. He's obviously had, obviously I don't know, but if I had to speculate, I think part of his issue is that Saquon has become maybe the focal point of the Eagles offense.
Oh, yeah.
As
we love Saquon over here.
We do love Saquon.
Saquon over there.
Oh, yeah.
He's all right. But a guy like A.J. Brown, who really is one of the best receivers in the league, I think he kind of wants to be the number 1 offensive option. And New England, they have Trayvon Henderson, who's decent, but you put him in that offense with Drake May, because I don't think they're going to re-sign Stephon Diggs, especially with all his his controversy off the field.
Yeah.
So I think that if he would go to New England, that'd be a great place for him to flourish. That was one of their biggest weaknesses in their Super Bowl run, is that they kind of struggled offensively. Their defense made up for it. So A.J. Brown to the New England Patriots, I think, is scary. I from what Adam Schefter reported, it seems like it's pretty inevitable that it's going to happen. I don't think the Patriots deserve it, personally.
My aunt's a Patriots fan, and God love her, but it's hard. It's hard to be nice about it. I mean, also I'm a little salty with them because Chad Ryland didn't have a great rookie year about 2 years ago, and they were like, and see ya. You didn't have a great first year, and now he's doing really well with the Cardinals. But Adam Schefter also just reported, speaking of him, George Pickens just signed the franchise tag for the Cowboys. I don't see that being more.
Well, that means now they can trade him, which was talked about with potentially for the draft. The Cowboys do own the Packers' first-round picks. So they actually have 2 first-round picks tonight. So they are kind of, they kind of got some house money they can play with. George Pickens wasn't really. I think he wanted the big off-season deal. He didn't get that.
Yeah.
So I think it's very possible he gets traded. By the time this episode goes up, he may be on a new team already.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited for the
back
draft.
to the Patriots. Before they get A.J. Brown, they're kind of going through their own controversy right now.
Yeah, they have their own spotlight, if you will. That's kind of not a good light to be in, if you want to call it. The head coach,
Mike Vrabel.
Yep. Yeah. Do not want to mispronounce his name. He's getting a little too friendly with an onside reporter, right? A sideline reporter.
It appears to be.
And now
the
it's not
pictures
surprising.
have been out. I've seen it all over. Do you think it's friendly, or do you think it's a little more than friendly?
I think
The
it's
timeline.
much more than friendly. Initially pictures came out of them on at a vacation resort together recently. Then just today, pictures from 6 years ago came out of them kissing in a bar.
Oh.
And she has a son named Michael, and it kind of lines
Yeah,
up with
he
that
was
timeline.
born about 6-ish years ago. I'm not sure exactly how
Michael
it
Jr.?
goes, but
But
Michael
Yeah.
Jr.?
potentially,
Might need a
who
DNA
knows?
test there.
that's what they're saying.
But
yeah.
now I'm
Wow.
wondering, because the big thing is when he got the head coach job as the Patriots, people were like, wow, he loves women, because he always would have a woman be the first journalist to answer questions, so he would focus on having a woman answer the first question. Was there a
He's
ulterior
very
motive
he's
behind
performative.
it?
He's I
Very
don't know.
performative. He did not deserve Coach of the Year. I will die on that hill. It should have been Liam Cohen. Thank you very much. And I am interested to see how it pans out. I mean, he's having a press conference right now as we're recording. And he mentioned he's going to miss day 3 of the draft because he's seeking counseling, which I'm always for. I'm always for seeking help and seeking counseling, but it kind of is a silly little thing to see in the news. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, definitely a
Yeah.
distraction on one of the biggest days of the year for the organization.
Feel bad for the team.
I don't.
Yeah.
They've had
Well, okay.
they've won enough. I think they're
Well,
fine.
I mean, for the actual players.
I
Like,
feel
that's
bad
kinda-
for his wife, for her husband, the kids. It's a
Yeah,
really
the
tough
other
situation.
husband, you
Yeah,
know.
it's that's such a hard situation to be in regardless. But then the fact that it's a national story
Yes,
and there's constant
yes.
coverage of it.
Yeah, it's not some local high school coach.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also
something.
like she's kind of throwing away her career, and as like a woman
Yep,
that
she
wants to get
was-
into athletic journalism,
Yeah,
it's
it's like a step
why?
back.
What would you do? That's
Definitely the
a
code of
lesson
ethics.
learned.
That's kind of
Yeah,
what we learn about in some of our classes.
Yeah.
Comes up in
for
real life.
sure, for sure. All right, well, moving on to our Philly special, Gwen, what do you have for us?
Not good. So last time we talked, I mentioned, the Phillies are 7-8, and they're gonna be okay. And guess what?
What are they now?
They're 8-17. Yes. So they are on a 9-game losing streak. The game after we filmed, they won, and then losing since. Lost every game to the Cubs so far, and then also lost all of their games to the Braves, which I don't know much about the Braves. I just know a kid I really don't likes them, so I wish them the worst.
Cheers.
But do you like the
No, I'm
Braves?
joking.
No, I don't even.
I was like, oh no.
I don't even follow
But
baseball.
it's not even, the problem too is it's not even close games. It's like they won 13-7, but then they lost 10-4, 11-2, 9-0. 3-1's a little closer, 4-2's a little closer, 5-1, 7-4, 7-2, 8-7 just happened, and that was the 10th inning. So it's definitely rough. They also they just traded someone. I'm blanking on his name, but I know they just traded someone. He was a relief pitcher, and it seemed like a lot of people were excited about that. So it seems like they're trying to adjust to not being good because they are now seeded last in the National East, and the Braves are first. And then also the Mets are 8-16, so they're kind of in the bottom down there with them. So I don't have high hopes for the Phillies this season. I know my dad is probably screaming at the TV right now, but I mean, it's fun. I'm hoping to see them, the Texas Rangers, play, to see the Orioles lose. I want to see Connor's team lose. So yeah, that's kind of basically what it is. Lots of losing, not a lot of winning.
Yeah, still early. You never know.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can
We're
only say.
not on a good trend right now, though.
Yeah, you know, you got to wonder if, like, the championship window's closing. As players get older, some leave, you know, the new teams. You got to hope that it's not closing yet, but it certainly looks like it from, like, this beginning of the season. Offensively, they're just not hitting well. The highest batter is Brandon Marsh with 276, which is not what you want your top hitter to be at. You know, I like Marsh, but
No.
the other guy's got to step it up.
Especially with names like Bryce Harper, where people are giving the talk of how great he is and whatnot. It's just they're not proving themselves. I would say probably one of the only other ones that is worth mentioning is Kyle Schwarber. He's really the only other one that's not necessarily like proving himself because he's been in it so long, but he's doing good enough. Everyone else is really dropping the ball, and it's really disappointing to see. But they have a lot of games left. Do I think they're going to go to the playoffs? I don't know, but we'll see.
We'll see what the summer brings.
Yeah, we'll see what the
it's always
summer
a good
brings.
time for like a hot dog and a beer, but you know.
Yes.
Anywho, switching from bases to buckets, the 76ers have been showing up, coming off of a 111 to a 97 game win to the Celtics, making the playoff series 1-1. I think that's pretty crazy. I think that's a good start. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, the 76ers, especially recently, have really struggled against the Celtics in the playoffs. Joel Embiid isn't necessarily, you know, the biggest playoff performer. I mean, he's had his good games, but it feels like when it's really mattered, he hasn't been able to rise to the level that he needs to. 1-1 right now, that's a good start because the Celtics, I think, were definitely expected to win. You know, the Sixers were a play-in team. You know, they had to win to get into the playoffs. But I personally don't think they're going to beat the Celtics. I don't want to say it was a fluke, their one-game win. But, you know, the Celtics have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. And even though Jason Tatum's coming off like an ACL injury, he's played great in his return. And I'm rooting for the Sixers because I can't stand the Celtics. They're kind of like, I don't know, they're kind of like the Yankees or like the Cowboys, you know, them and the Lakers. They're just like the two big names. They just won recently too, so they don't necessarily, I don't know. I'm just not big on them, but
I'll take the Celtics. Why not?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be that person just because I'm moving to Boston in like 3 months. I'll be
true.
that person.
Yeah.
I don't really watch basketball that much, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of most Philly teams, so I mostly like to see them crash and burn, especially the Eagles. So I'll take Boston. Why not?
Yeah, I feel like as a local girl, I kind of have to vote for the Phillies no matter what game or no matter what sport it is.
Yeah.
But what about you,
I
Piers?
don't know. That was some.
Are
some
you an Eagles fan?
Yeah. I
And
would
what
say
about
so.
it?
I don't know. Just.
I hope Philly crashes.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and join us next week for our goodbye show to end the semester. And don't forget to stay in the zone.